Michael Stone remains one of the most controversial and divisive figures in the history of Northern Ireland's Troubles. His name has become synonymous with the violent methods Loyalist paramilitaries used in their fight to preserve Northern Ireland's union with Britain. Stone's life story, characterized by violent actions, imprisonment, and attempts at reinvention, offers a glimpse into the political, social, and personal complexities of a man whose actions continue to polarize opinion. His story also serves as a stark example of how the deep divides of sectarian conflict can shape an individual's destiny, leaving behind legacies of violence, bitterness, and unhealed wounds. Born on April 2, 1955, in Harborne, Birmingham, England, Michael Stone's early years were marked by instability. His parents' troubled relationship led to separation when he was still a baby. His father, Cyril Alfred Stone, was away serving in the Merchant Navy, and his mother, Mary Bridget O'Sullivan, left the family shortly after Michael's birth. Consequently, Stone was placed in the care of his aunt and uncle, John and Margaret Gregg, who lived in Ballyhalbert, Northern Ireland. Growing up in a predominantly Protestant environment, Stone was deeply influenced by his new family's strong loyalist values. However, he faced an internal struggle as he also grew aware of his mother's Catholic heritage. Though baptized into the Church of Ireland, Stone felt a connection to his Catholic roots, and this dual identity became a source of tension throughout his life. While his upbringing with the Greggs provided him with stability, his awareness of his mixed heritage would later contribute to a profound inner conflict. In 1959, the Greggs moved to the Braniel housing estate, located on the outskirts of Belfast, a place where tensions between the Catholic and Protestant communities were reaching new heights. The Troubles had begun to take shape, and the violence that would define Northern Ireland's political landscape for the next few decades began to spread. Stone's school years were marked by frequent conflicts and poor academic performance. He was eventually expelled from Lisnasharrow Secondary School at age 15 for repeated fighting, a sign of his growing aggression and sense of alienation from the society around him. After leaving school with no qualifications, Stone found himself drawn into the violent street culture that permeated Belfast in the early years of the Troubles. As a teenager, he became involved in a gang known as the Hole-in-the-Wall Gang in the Braniel estate. Initially, the gang had a mix of Catholic and Protestant members, but as sectarian tensions deepened, the group fractured, with Stone choosing to align himself more firmly with the Protestant loyalist cause. This moment marked the beginning of Stone's commitment to loyalism and set him on the path toward paramilitary involvement. By 1971, Stone had joined the Tartan gangs, informal Protestant groups that engaged in acts of vandalism, intimidation, and occasional violence against Catholic communities. These gangs acted as a precursor to the more organized and militarized paramilitary groups that would later dominate the conflict. They helped shape the mindset of young men like Stone, who were ready to take up arms in defense of their community's identity and position within Northern Ireland. Stone's violent tendencies caught the attention of Tommy Heron, a key figure in the Ulster Defence Association, UDA, one of the largest loyalist paramilitary organisations in Northern Ireland. Heron recruited Stone in 1972, marking the beginning of his full-fledged involvement in the paramilitary world. As a new recruit, Stone was subjected to a brutal initiation process, including an order from Heron to kill a dog as a display of loyalty. Stone's compliance solidified his position within the UDA and began his descent into a world of escalating violence. Stone's initial role within the UDA was focused on petty crime and smaller acts of intimidation. His activities included theft, extortion, and working as part of UDA operations to assert control over neighborhoods. One early incident saw Stone arrested for attempting to steal weapons from a sporting goods store in Commer. While minor, the incident highlighted the blurred line between criminal activity and paramilitary operations during the early stages of the Troubles. However, after the assassination of Tommy Heron in 1973, the UDA's Brainial unit began to fragment, leaving Stone with a sense of disillusionment and no clear purpose within the organization. This sense of uncertainty led to a period of drifting as Stone began to question the direction and leadership of the group. His frustration at the lack of strategic focus within the UDA would fuel his eventual decision to seek a more direct and violent role in the conflict. In 1974, Stone joined the Red Hand Commando, RHC, a smaller but highly militant loyalist group known for its secrecy and efficiency. The RHC operated in the shadows, providing support to loyalist politicians and engaging in clandestine operations against the IRA and Catholic communities. Stone took on various roles within the RHC, including offering security for key loyalist leaders like Bill Craig of the Vanguard Unionist Progressive Party. During this time, Stone claimed to have made contact with Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, who allegedly sought to help loyalist groups combat the IRA, viewing the Republican organization as a dangerous force that aligned with global terrorism. Although these claims remain unsubstantiated, Stone's narrative reflects the complex and international dimensions of the Troubles, where alliances and enmities crossed national borders. Despite his involvement in the RHC, Stone grew frustrated with the group's inactivity, which led him to rejoin the UDA by the mid-1980s. This marked the beginning of his most violent and infamous period. When Stone returned to the UDA, it wasn't long before he became part of a specialized unit tasked with eliminating Republican figures. His first confirmed kill came in November 1984 when he shot and killed Patrick Brady, a Catholic milkman he suspected of IRA involvement. Though no evidence ever substantiated the claim that Brady was linked to the IRA, Stone's actions marked the beginning of a brutal campaign of targeted killings. Over the following years, Stone became notorious for his meticulous planning, ability to disguise himself, and his unflinching violence. His reputation as a loyalist assassin grew, and while some within the loyalist community hailed him as a hero, others began to criticize his recklessness and the collateral damage caused by his actions. For Stone, these assassinations were not just acts of political violence. They were personal missions aimed at defending his community and its place within Northern Ireland. Stone's notoriety reached its peak on March 16, 1988, when he launched an attack at Milltown Cemetery in West Belfast during the funeral of 3 IRA members killed by British forces in Gibraltar. Armed with grenades, handguns, and knives, Stone attacked the mourners, killing 3 people and injuring more than 60 others. The attack caused panic and confusion as Stone was chased through the cemetery by enraged mourners. He was eventually apprehended, beaten by the crowd, and arrested by the police. The Milltown attack shocked both Loyalists and Republicans alike. While some Loyalists saw Stone as a hero, others believed that the attack had been reckless and damaging to the Unionist cause. For many, it represented the extreme lengths to which Stone and others were willing to go in their fight against republicanism. In 1989, Stone was convicted of 6 murders and sentenced to life in prison. During his time at the Maze prison, he became a significant figure among Loyalist inmates. Stone participated in dialogue with British officials and played a role in shaping the discussions that would eventually lead to the Northern Ireland peace process. The 1998 Good Friday Agreement, which aimed to bring an end to the violence of the Troubles, allowed for Stone's early release in 2000, after he served 13 years in prison. After his release, Stone attempted to reinvent himself as an artist and writer. He began painting scenes of conflict and violence, which garnered mixed reactions. Some saw his artwork as an attempt at reconciliation, while others viewed it as a glorification of the violence he had once engaged in. In 2003, Stone published Stone Cold, an autobiography in which he defended his actions during the Troubles and refused to express regret for the lives he had taken. Stone's attempts at reinvention were short-lived. In 2006, he staged a dramatic and violent act, attempting to storm Stormont with homemade explosives and knives, targeting Sinn Féin leaders Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness. He claimed that the act was performance art, but the courts rejected this explanation, and Stone was sentenced to another 16 years in prison. Stone's life continues to provoke debate. Some loyalists view him as a hero and defender of Protestant Ulster, while others believe his actions only served to prolong the suffering and division caused by the Troubles. For many, Stone's story is a stark reminder of the destructive power of sectarianism and the human toll of political violence. Michael Stone's legacy is complex and polarizing, embodying the tragic consequences of Northern Ireland's violent past. His unapologetic stance and the dramatic actions that defined his life continue to stir emotions, raising important questions about the personal cost of political violence and the challenges of reconciliation. What does Michael Stone's life teach us about the deep scars left by conflict? Share your thoughts below. Like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of history's most controversial figures.